Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals come to learn the most efficient and powerful ways to grow their accounting firms, sharpen their sales skills, and really have a path to creating consistent increased revenue. I cover topics from networking, pricing, ideal clients, how to handle objections, how to handle you're too expensive, and how to set boundaries with clients so you can stop giving away your time and expertise away for free and really start getting paid your value and your worth. You'll learn tips and strategies and also hear personal interviews from successful accounting professionals and others in the industry. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is a content creator, has a digital marketing agency, and has been nominated 40 Under 40 CPA Practice Advisor recipients in 2021 and 22, and owns Leaders Online. Leaders Online helps accounting and technology professionals increase their impact, influence, and income through leadership and digital marketing in the paid advertising space. But before we welcome our special guest to the show, if you're an accounting, bookkeeper, tax firm owner who crumbles at the thought of an upcoming sales call, constantly worried that you're going to blank or come across pushy, I have a system for you. As a firm owner, I know the paralyzing feeling of imposter syndrome. Like you're new to your niche or you're new to sales and you're just pretending to be an expert, or the frustration of sales calls going amazingly well just to be ghosted after. Here at the Abundant Accountant, I show you a simple step-by-step sales process so you're never aimlessly winging it again. You'll have a blueprint and a formula for communicating your value with confidence, even if accounting or taxes seem boring to talk about with your clients. When you book a call with me at theabundantcall.com, I'll demonstrate exactly how you can take back control of each conversation, close more clients, and end the second guessing over pricing for good. You'll finally be able to stop trading hours for dollars and start growing your firm on your terms. Book your complimentary strategy call right now at theabundantcall.com to stop procrastinating your potential. And now let's welcome our special guest, Katie Thomas, to the show. Welcome, Katie, to the show.
Thanks, Michelle, for having me on. I'm excited to be here and chat all about paid advertising.
Yes, and I'm excited to talk about paid advertising too, because I think there's a lot of mistakes and people can go down a rabbit hole costing them a lot of money doing the wrong things. And maybe we can shed some light as to what you've seen as well as to the amount of money people have lost trying to do paid advertising on their own and how they can, really see an ROI in paid advertising efforts. Because I hear that all the time. Michelle, I'm, getting some leads, but I can't close. And I say, okay, well, what did it even cost you to get a lead? And I think that's going to be really good to dive in today. So I guess, Katie, if you could share also before we dive in, like who you are and what you do for those that I already did your intro, but I always think it's better to come directly from you.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Katie Thomas. I'm a CPA and I'm the owner of Leaders Online. We're a digital marketing agency that works with accounting professionals to help them increase their impact, influence, and income through digital marketing. We focus heavily on organic and paid social media, as well as podcasting and PR and some other forms of content marketing like websites. It's a lot of times people ask me, how did I go from CPA to marketing? So that I actually started marketing when I was a teenager, grew up in a small business, building websites well before I probably ever should have been able to. Learned SEO back in the day, running Google ads whenever, oh my gosh, leads were so cheap, under $1. It was the golden age for Google. So really just grew up in marketing. And then when I was working for one of the big four firms, not only had my love for marketing never gone away, but I realized, wow, the accountants at these big firms struggle with marketing. They don't like business development. So what's it like for all the other, especially smaller firm owners out there? And that led me to start my agency now 7 years ago. And we've worked with hundreds of accountants at this point. Many of our clients are in the top 1 in 200, but we also work with firms that it's just them. They've gone out on their own. Maybe they are a solopreneur, or maybe they have a couple staff, really all sizes of firms.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, what do you see as the biggest mistakes when you're meeting with a new prospect for your digital agency that you've seen they've, really gone sideways and in the wrong direction as it relates to their paid advertising?
They don't have the right strategy behind it. So this can be a multiple pronged issue. The first thing we always have to have is some sort of niche. It doesn't matter if the firm can work with a lot of different business owners and a lot of different industries. If you're marketing, you need a tailored marketing message that can be targeted towards a niche. And so if you're just trying to say, hey, service-based business owners, sometimes people think that's enough of a niche. That's not, just like entrepreneurs is not. We need to get really specific so that you can craft a message that resonates with that audience. And like I said, it's fine if you want to keep working with other business owners outside of this. It's just a marketing niche. The next really big thing is the ads don't have the right offer. So all the accountants listening to this, they've probably been served ads from other accountants, and it'll be like, hey, veterinarians, do you want to learn the 10 mistakes that we help vets stop making to save on taxes? Or here are the 5 ways you can save on taxes. And this can be a fine offer for an ad if that firm is looking to attract people who are interested in a DIY approach. But most of the time, if someone's running paid ads and they have that budget to do so, they're not looking for the DIYers. They want the clients that are doing upper 6 figures a year or $1 million a year in revenue. And so that offer doesn't align with them. The business owner that's doing $1 million a year, they want it done for them. And so you've got to make sure that your offer aligns with the people's wants, and it's not just about saving taxes.
Yeah.
When it comes to like crafting an offer, and we can dive as far into this as you want, but there's really 4 things you need to consider.
Yeah, no, I think let's go into it. But before we get into crafting an offer, when you think about when you help a client pick a niche, can we go a little deeper in that? Like maybe you have a client off the top of your head that was struggling with picking the niche, as that's kind of the first, mistake that I think people are really making that makes your job really hard to do paid advertising. So, if you were to pretend I'm the prospect, like how would you help me pick a niche, and what are those elements that are involved with that, since it is such a crucial step? And then, I'd love to go into crafting the offer.
Yeah, so I think it's important to think about your favorite clients that you've worked with so far that you get along with, and also they're utilizing services that you want to do more of. So maybe you're looking to do more tax planning and advisory work long term. Your clients that need that, like what industry are they in, and how can you double down on that? I also think it's important to pick an industry that you care about, because even while this may be a marketing niche, if you are putting money into investing to get in front of this niche and develop your name and develop your brand, you ideally are going to stick with it. And so this might not just be something that you're running ads to, but I encourage you to go out and build a brand, whether that's getting active on social and now you're sharing content for this industry. So maybe it's real estate investors. And now you're attending events like Bigger Pockets puts on an event every single year for real estate investors, and you're there. And now you're on their website and you're interacting in their community. And it's not to say like if you're going to run paid ads, you have to start doing all these things. However, if you're thinking about marketing as a comprehensive strategy outside of paid ads, then these are things that you should be considering. And so just saying, oh, I'm going to do doctors because they make a lot of money and they can pay me hopefully a lot of money to do a tax plan. I always encourage people to think beyond that, beyond the money. Like, what are you passionate about? Who do you really want to help? And who can your services ultimately help that you want to be involved with long term?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, no, I think those are all really important points because, like you said, paid advertising is important, but going to events and being known in your industry from an organic standpoint goes hand in hand with both efforts, right? Like I do paid ads, but I also have a podcast and speak at events, or we do webinars together, like you and I. And those are all elements that I think are really important to making sure that your paid ad strategy is successful, and really honing down, like you said, on that niche is really important. Yeah. So let's go into those 4 steps of crafting the offer.
Okay, so we've got our niche, nailed it. Now it's time to think about our irresistible offer. The 4 things it needs to be compelling with a specific outcome. It needs to resonate with the audience. It must have urgency, and it should also leverage social proof. So, for example, a lot of times I'll talk to a firm owner that's thinking about running some paid ads. And let's say they've gone ahead and they've chosen their niche and they're like, okay, I'm going to do real estate investors. And you go, okay, great. What do we want to propose on this ad that you can help them do? And they go, well, I can do accounting and I can do taxes. The problem with this is it's not compelling with a specific outcome. It might resonate with me, which that is important. That's one step of the irresistible offer, but it must tell me like whenever you're doing my taxes or whenever you're helping me with my accounting, what's the outcome of that? And most times when you first start working with a new client as an accountant, you're aiming to save them a certain amount of taxes up front. Or maybe in 90 days, you're putting together a plan to get their books clean so that they can have KPIs and you can benchmark them, to help them reach their revenue goals or find ways to improve their cash position in 90 days. Your offer is going to vary based upon, of course, like what you do and what you're an expert in, but it needs to be tied to that outcome that your accounting or your tax work or your bookkeeping achieves. There's always something that's the outcome of it, and it's not bookkeeping and it's not just taxes. There's something more. So think about like what the outcome is of what you're doing. And then for the urgency piece, this can be created in a variety of ways. People, a lot of times, they're going to be scrolling whenever they see your ad, and there has to be something that makes them go, okay, this is important that I book a time with you as the accounting expert right now. And so maybe it's that they can, for the next 7 days, sign up. Maybe it's that, hey, the longer you wait, the more you're bleeding tax dollars. It's going to be based upon what you are offering them, but you can create this urgency in a variety of ways. And then finally, I always encourage people to leverage social proof, because you can have a great proposition for someone, but if they read it and they go, you know what, they can't help me. I don't see how this, I could get this same result, then it's hard for them to want to take action because they don't think that you can help them. So leveraging client testimonials, case studies to be like, hey, here's someone that was in your spot. Here's what we did for them. Like, look, this could be you too. All of those are key to creating an irresistible offer.
Yeah, no, and those are definitely key ingredients And I would say, even in that order, it's specifically important. For me, especially the urgency and the social proof also helps you on the conversion piece, because you don't want to help somebody do a cleanup project or something who wants to wait another year, and now you have double the amount of work. It's like we need to make it so they understand how, in urgency. I also, Katie, kind of put it in a way like consequences. Like, if they don't do this now, what is their alternative? So, like on a tax resolution engagement, I was just talking about this on a webinar. If we don't bring up the urgency, the taxpayer doesn't understand that maybe they'll have a lien on their house. Maybe their wages will be garnished. Maybe everything that they have is going to get sucked out of their bank account one day. Like, they don't even have a sense of urgency. So you're bringing up basically the consequences that could potentially exist if they did not do something about it right now. Awesome. Okay. What are the other elements if they don't have the right strategy, right? We have the niche. You got to have that. If the ads don't have the right offer, and, crafting that and making sure you have these 4 elements inside the offer, which I totally align with as I run my own paid ads. What else, Katie, would a firm owner make as a mistake, when you see a new prospect come to you and you're like, oh my gosh, no wonder you. And how much money do you see typically a firm owner will try to do on their own and they lose it because they're trying to do this all by themselves?
Yeah, those are great questions. So I'll answer the money question and then we can talk about the third biggest mistake.
Okay.
A lot of times they've done something like boost a post before on Facebook or Instagram, which that's not the same thing as setting up an ad and business suite where you're like actually going in, and it gives you a lot more options in terms of your audience, like what type of ad you're running. The boosted post, I've never ever heard someone say that they got results from that. So don't do that. Don't click that offer that says, hey, we're giving you $5 to boost your post if you put in $25. And in terms of how much they've wasted, sometimes they're like, hey, I boosted this post and I spent a couple $100 and I got nothing. We had a firm that just came to us and they had been spending $2,000 a month, which is very standard in ad spend. And they had not gotten anything from it.
Wow.
And they'd been doing this for 6 months. And so whenever we reviewed their funnel, it came down to their offer was just really bad. A lot of times, I would say people usually start at spending, like when they're coming to us, they say, hey, I spent, around that $2,000 mark a month. And it just depends on how long they're willing to bleed that. Usually it's not super long, which is good, only a couple months. But yeah, if you're not seeing results and you are spending enough money, because I want to put that out there, it's not something where if you're going to be playing to get these high ticket clients, you're going to have to pay to play. So it's not like, hey, you can just put $100 in this and you're going to get a bunch of leads. No, you've got to spend money. But if you're spending a couple $1,000s a month in ad spend, you should be seeing a return on that.
Right. And you need to be smart about it, which, just like with sales and conversions, you can attempt to keep trying to figure out a sales process, or you can contact me, or you can keep wasting $2,000 a month. And like you said, Katie, see how long you want to bleed, or you can reach out to Katie, and her contact info is in the show notes. But you have to pay to play. You can't grow a firm or attract ideal, high quality, high paying premium clients for free. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Right. And so that's really like the third thing, is making sure they have the right system. And I want to preface this by saying the right system, and we'll kind of go through some of those key pieces. Part of that is making sure you know how to sell. So if you don't know how to sell, then wait, learn from Michelle, nail down your process, and then put this system where your sales is a part of the system in place, because what's a bunch of great leads going to do for you if you don't know how to sell? Actually just talked to a firm owner yesterday who hired a salesperson,
Huh.
and they have had 80 leads supposedly qualified, but they haven't closed one lead. So that would be very discouraging. Make sure you have your
Well,
sales
yeah,
process.
even with a salesperson, if you don't have a sales process, it doesn't do any good.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So when you think about this system, the first thing is you need to make sure that your system, like from the get-go in Facebook, that setup is all right. So you have your pixels in the right places, you have your targeting set up, you have the right messaging with the right offer, all of that. Then what you want to do is make sure that whenever someone is actually shown your ad, that they're sent to the right place. So if you are delivering a free, say, discovery call, they're sent to a calendar where they can book a time with you to get their irresistible offer. And then from there, we recommend that the system also includes some nurturing. So not just nurturing with appointment reminders, but also put in some objection handling up front in emails, testimonials, and making sure that there are steps in the process so that once someone shows up to the call, they already have a lot of information to make an educated decision, and they've already overcome a lot of those potential objections for you. It can make that sales call a lot easier. And then also something to think about as part of this system is making sure that, let's say that someone sees our ad, they've expressed interest in it, maybe they've clicked on it, but they haven't booked a call or taken that next step that we want to, then we can also continue to nurture them. So we can send them retargeting ads. Maybe we send them some other content that they can opt in for to get some more information or some help in the meantime. And then from there, we've got their contact information and can nurture them with emails and so forth ongoing. So it's important that all this is set up, and that this way, whenever someone does come across your paid ads, we can nurture them every step of the way, whether they're ready today or they're ready a month from now to speak to you.
Yeah, because you just never know when it's going to be the right time. And have you still seen, Katie, that sometimes on the marketing side, be it organic marketing, paid marketing, people still are needing to see a message from you or something about 7 times in this, market where we're getting bombarded and marketed to left and right?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's more than that now. And that's where I think it's so important that you do have that organic presence as well. It's not required, but kind of like if someone's, listening to this podcast, Michelle, and they tune in and then they see your ad, but they've also seen your social media posts. It's like, that's kind of like what we already talked about. That's so much more effective than if they just saw 7 ads from you on Facebook. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know Michelle. I know that she's trustworthy. Hey, now I saw this ad with this irresistible offer. I'm taking action because I know Michelle's the person that can help me.
Yeah, no, and I think it is really important because I can't tell you how many times I've heard from, clients communicating my value on a sales call is hard. I don't understand how to do that. How do I communicate my value because accounting is so boring? Or, I don't have a sales process. I just kind of shoot from the hip. And all of these things are just so important that until I think, like you said, the consequence or the cost for your paid ads of $2,000 a month, which you see typical, and how long do you want that to keep going? How much longer do you want the bleeding to happen? Or how much longer do you want to tell yourself, I hate sales calls, I hate selling, I don't feel like being a pushy car salesperson? It's like you said, you kind of have to do the sales process first. Otherwise, you're never going to see a return on this investment, but you have to pay to play. And, if people need to hear and see you more than 7 times now, that could cost a little bit more now to acquire a new client. I like to call that, and I'm sure you use the same terminology, a client acquisition cost. So for every single new client you bring onto your firm, you have to think, well, what am I willing to spend to get that client in order for them to engage in my services at a high monthly reoccurring rate, or whatever the offer is that you're going to be helping them with.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And I think that sometimes as accountants, we're very cognizant of numbers and cost, and we might be like, oh wow, paying, $200 or $300 for a sales call, like that seems like a lot. But then whenever you have a good process dialed in, you can close them. And let's say that if we're just going with, you know, 20% and you paid $200 for that call and close 20%, that's $1,000 for the customer acquisition cost. If you're charging that client $1,500 a month and they're a client for 6, 7 years, that is a really low price to pay. And so it's kind of thinking about this differently about, yeah, I might have grown on referrals previously, but if I'm serious about growth, referrals are not a consistent strategy, and paying $1,000 a month to get this client, that's nothing in what they're going to bring you long term.
it's true. And if they're with you for 10 years, what's that client worth to you? Especially if you have a, an important and unique, not only service offering and, like you said, irresistible offer, but you have a client experience on the sales side that's unlike any other firm. Because from the time you get paid to the time you execute your process, it's a client experience that's going to set you apart from every other firm out there. And that's just really important because you have to understand not only the client acquisition cost and what you're willing to spend to get a client, but how do you keep them around for a really long time and maximize that value of the client. And I like to call it, I don't know what term you call it, but the lifetime value of a client. Yeah.
Yep. And I would say too, with that, a lot of times accountants also aren't thinking on the lifetime value is, especially when they love referrals, that client that has a huge lifetime value could also be way increased with all the referrals that they're going to send you. So really the
Yeah.
cost is so low to acquire these clients if you have all these things in place.
Yes, for sure. Is there anything else, Katie, that you think is important for a firm owner to, really kind of wake up to as it relates to their paid advertising strategy? So, similar to what we talked about on our webinar, like how do you take a prospect and turn it into profit? And how do you have that conversation with confidence so you don't make these mistakes? Because from prospect to profit and being able to close with ease is probably the number one important thing to a firm owner. That's how you can have top line revenue, and sales and marketing, they go hand in hand and they are completely two different things. So, is there anything else that you've seen as a mistake or an area that's costing a lot of people that we should be letting them know of right now so you can do this a lot smarter instead of working so hard and having the bleeding like those people did of $2,000 a month?
Yeah, I think it's just really important that you are willing to invest in the right people to get you the right results. I think a lot of times, kind of going back to accountants, like we're numbers people, we think of ourselves as people who are business advisors. And so we think that we can do it all or we can learn it all. And it's like, just like you recommend that someone hire you to do their taxes, when you want to have help learning or implementing a different skill set, reach out for help. And hearing this, you might be like, okay, that's obvious, but I see it time and time again where people are, say, going out and they are trying to set this up themselves, or they're hiring someone off Upwork or Fiverr to do it for them, but they've never worked with accountants and they're trying to get it at the cheapest cost. And it's like, why is this not working? And it's like, well, it's just like if, you compare it to someone who went to the inexperienced admin to be their bookkeeper, it's the same outcome. So you get what you pay for, and why your clients pay you a good fee is because you do a good job for them. And the same can be said if you're looking to up-level your business. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, it's so true. And I actually just experienced this today. Someone, you know, said, the biggest issue I have is cost. And I'm like, there's no bigger cost than the amount of money that you're not converting in your firm. So you should be going for the person that has the most case studies, the most testimonials, the company, like for me, where we only work with accounting, tax, and bookkeeping firm owners on sales. Because I think in the sea of marketing, there's tons of programs and tons of probably agencies for you, Katie, that are offering similar results and outcomes. And understanding that just because what they're saying is what they're offering doesn't mean that they've produced those results. So I think you get what you pay for, but you need to research what you're paying for. Because if someone is saying, hey, the investment is X dollars to work with me, and you're seeing it at much less rates, and you can't justify that kind of investment to get a similar result, well, I'm guaranteeing you the results are different. There's no difference as to why a Ferrari has a different result than a Toyota something. You get what you pay for. So do your research, get your references. One of the things that I think, Katie, you brought up today, is social proof. Make sure you're looking at the social proof and what people are saying about the company that you're going to invest in to get this help, because you can get further a lot faster with support than doing it on your own. And being willing to invest in the right people, Katie, just like you said, to get the right results is key. However, you need to do your research, because not everything is equal. If you're comparing an apple to a banana and then to some grapes, it's not the same. So do your research, find your social proof, and make sure what you're looking at is real. And make sure the results, just because someone says they can, get you 7 new clients a month using $2,000 a month to get a client acquisition cost of $20, make sure you do your due diligence and see how they've done that for other people. Because the promises that people are offering, there's a bunch of fluff out there. And I would just do your research.
Yeah, you said it great.
I literally got that email. I'm like, oh God, this person needs to go do their research. And they also sent me other companies. I said, and I have hundreds of testimonials and I don't see they have any. So, okay, I wish you nothing but the best. But that's someone who's willing to still take on the bleeding of $2,000 a month, like you've seen on average. People trying to do paid ads on their own are going to invest or not invest. It will cost them $2,000 a month until you're like, okay, I'm done wasting money. I need to get some help.
Yeah, the opportunity cost is just really, really huge, and something that we all need to wake up to.
It really is. All right. Well, Katie, thank you so much for sharing all of this. Are there any other mistakes that maybe we just didn't talk about yet, or costs that you see prospects that come to you are really just, the cash is going down the shower drain, or the amount of money people are losing to try to continue to do this on their own? Or do we cover pretty much everything for today?
We covered the main ones. The final thing I would leave people with is, whenever you're trying to figure out what marketing strategy works, I'm not here to say that paid advertising is the best for you. There's a lot of different marketing tactics that work. We see them work all the time. Even, there's paid advertising, there's organic social media, there's SEO, there's cold emailing, there's cold outbound calls. There's so many marketing strategies you can use. They all work. A lot of them complement one another. And what you decide to do ultimately has to just work best for you. So explore your options, pick your options. And again, they all work, but they just must be done correctly.
Yep. Love it. Well, thank you again so much for being here with us today on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It was an honor to have you. And, thank you for helping all these firm owners and being able to make it so the cost of $2,000 down the drain can put a stop to it, and you can get the support you need if you choose to do paid advertising as one of your marketing strategies. So thank you so much, Katie, for being here. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me. And if anyone wants to connect or chat further, they can find me, Katie Thomas CPA, on all social media platforms or go to leaders-online.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining Katie and I today on another amazing episode here at the Abundant Accountant Podcast. And I think it's just so crucial what we're talking about, because the cost of the mistakes when it comes to digital advertising or marketing or not knowing how to close your sales, you might have better odds going to Vegas. And if you're an accounting, tax, or bookkeeping firm owner, you offer business advisory, resolution, tax planning, fractional CFO services, and you feel paralyzed at the thought of your next upcoming sales call, or you're constantly worried you're going to freeze up and come across pushy, I have the solution for you. I understand the crippling effects of imposter syndrome, doubting your expertise in your own niche, or the frustration when a sales call goes great but then leads nowhere. You hear crickets. And then you're so nervous on what to do next that you don't even know what to say. At The Abundant Accountant, I've perfected a simple step-by-step sales process that will eliminate the guesswork, stress, and anxiety that you feel right now. You finally will be able to communicate your true value with confidence, even if talking about accounting or taxes feels dull and boring to your prospects. When you book your complimentary call with me and my team at theabundantcall.com, we will talk about how to take control over your conversations, close more high-paying clients at premium fees, and put an end to second-guessing your pricing. No more trading hours for dollars. The focus will be on having a thriving firm you feel proud of. Stop procrastinating your potential and book your call today over at theabundantcall.com. I look forward to speaking to you, and we'll see you on the next episode.